Plus, Red's easy fodder, you know. He's an easy character. And knowing he could get mad and be explosive again, you know, that's just very tempting to arsonists like me. He's like a big dry kindling box, and you're just flicking little matches and chunking them into the box, seeing if they'll. It's like you strike them, you light them, and it's just wondering how far they're going to go before they burn out and hit the box, you know. So Red's like that. Now especially got the whole canon of folk art, and that's something else that, you know, the whole. How can I say? You know, before I even got into the whole folk art routine, I didn't really know much about it, but it's a whole genre, and it's like it's piggybacks. You're piggybacking something. You're not really making folk art. You're making trolling folk art stalker battles. It's all internet related. And they're kind of like comics. You're making kind of like folk art comics, but it's on the video and it's being broadcasted. And you know, like that video, that Vivian video. You know, I think the link was sent over there about Blacktop and Red. You know, now it's all about really Red. And so I was really doing like just weird sketches about Red and his antics, you know. And some of them were good, some of them were just really cruddy. So, what's the point of making it could be a reflection. Like I actually did a couple of Friday things for like reflection on weird scenarios, but I got this real show I gotta do. So I don't know. I might skip out. I might make one piece for Friday the 13th and make it leave it about that. You know, I might have one gag left in me, but I ain't gonna go all bonkers with it. But there's gonna be some people chipping in. Bill said he might make something. There's some other character who, but you know, who knows? I don't. It's like video. It's sarcasm. It's like you're trying to get to somebody, you're trying to get a rise out of somebody, and it's really. It's not cheap burn. It's not like, oh, you know, like you have to study the shit to make a really good Friday the 13th piece. But I know it has something to do with eBay. It has something to do with trying to put stuff on there and watching it rise and fall. That's the thing, is there's got to be risks in rising. Bill did do that. He did put some stuff on there. You know, I was thinking about retail. You know, and like you have to be in retail and actually been around that. And, you know, what was the last thing I did? Last W4 I pulled was a 97 at Albertsons in Austin. After that, I've just been doing, you know, basically carpentry and sales of paintings. You know, kind of goes back and forth. But you know, to work in retail and grocery, that's really it takes a certain psychology. I started thinking about, you know, principles of business, you know, and what does it mean, and that's why eBay is sort of in it, because, you know, on eBay you're in the business of selling stuff, you know. And me and Red talked about a lot of people who buy stuff and galleries, you know, and other artists who sell stuff, and their techniques, you know, and how they look, they appear, how they conduct business, you know. It's kind of fun and exciting because everyone has a different approach towards dealing with things, you know. And I remember I don't know, I went to the grocery store and came back, got some eggs. I was there thinking of this story of my first bosses, the first guy I ever employed by, a guy named Milby. Worked for a Gerland's over in Houston. And I was like a teenager. I was a sacker, you know, for grocery. And Milby was real hard, kind of. He looked like a militaristic version of Gandhi. A little short guy, bald hair, tan. Real strict, you know, came from his ex-vet. And I always respected the guy. I always looked up to him because he was always like real high energy, real aggressive, you know, character. And he ran this store like a fucking military outfit. And one time, but after a while, you start realizing this. It was just something it was too overkill or something. I don't know. But like one time, like here's a classic. And customers would return stuff. You know, like they bought a piece of fruit or something, or a package of, you know, frozen something, and they ate it or something. They didn't like it, and they returned it back. And you know, Milby would sit there and spend the time to argue with them and say, no, we can't take this. This is not a good reason to return it. You blankety blank, you dropped it, or you know, this is not bad. This food isn't bad. It's just that you're just being picky. You bought it. You paid for it. You own it. You know. And he'd argue with them, and like one time this lady came in and she didn't want, I don't know, maybe it'd been like a Snickers bar or something like that. She took a bite out of it, didn't like it, and returned it back, and wanted her money back. And he sat there for 30 minutes and argued with her for like, you know. And I was like, you know, being in the Sackers and the Checkers, like, yeah, stand up against the customers. You know, the customers customers are nuts. If you work retail, you realize just how bitchy the public is, how spoiled they are, and how aggressive they can be against you. And they just treat you like dirt, basically. And so, you know, a lot of the businesses have just said, just let them win. Customer's always right. Remember that phrase? Well, a lot of customers take advantage of that stuff, you know. And so Milby was sitting there arguing with this lady for 30 minutes and told her, nope, she can't have it, and she eventually storms out, I'm never coming to the store again. Fuck you, and leaves, you know. And Milby took pride in like defeating this person, getting her out of there, you know. And all the sackers were applauding him because it was a big fit right over where the Kersey booth is. And we could see it happening. But then the other manager goes, Jesus, you know, he was like mad at him. He goes, you know, this is a head manager. He just wasted 15 to 30 minutes arguing with this woman. He has 100 things to do good. He saved the store 45 cents, you know, but as a result is he wastes all his time dealing with this belligerent customer. He said, if they have some problem with some product, give them their money back and go home. You know, that's good. You don't waste time with them. You know? So it's like two different approaches towards, you know, how to deal with the public. And I always thought, well, no, if the customer's cheating and they're trying to get away with something, you got to show them that that's not right. You know, you know, Milby was a real moralistic kind of Baptist person, you know, and he took it to task to make sure that they weren't cheating or doing something wrong, you know. But I don't know. I remember one famous story about him. I wish to God I'd seen this, because I also got fired by Milby too. But it was a long story. Nothing. I didn't do anything wrong. I just showed up late for work because of I forgot why. But it was a blessing in disguise, believe me. So, but one time he was building this display, and this display, you know, what the fuck was it? It was like Bamba jelly, you know, and he didn't like displays that were more lower to the ground and built up slowly, you know, because if you've ever seen a display, if you stack something up one after another, the higher you get, there's some kind of physics about it starts to lean or starts to move to the left or whatever, you know. And so he's building this display, and they told him don't go over 4 feet, because these Bamba jellies, they start moving, you know. And he said nope, it has to be the top of the aisle, because you know all the you know, if you go into a grocery aisle, you know, they're about like this high up in the air, you know. He wanted something that would even out with that uniform look. And so he was determined to have them Bamba jellies go all the way up to the top of that thing. And the other sacker said, you know, we had one of those things fall over. It's not a good idea. And I swear, he was sitting there. He did it. After they had stopped, he grabbed the rest of the stuff and started putting it. He built it himself. And as he's sitting there picking up the boxes to put it away after he's sitting there cutting up all the boxes. And he's right in front of it, and the thing is like this, and the thing goes like this, and falls on him. And it was the biggest mess, and he just ended up, I think he took the rest of the day off. But he goes, go pick it all up. See, that's the thing is, like, whenever an authority figure is yelling at you to do it right, and then it fucking falls on him, and it's his fucking fault, and then he knows everyone looks at him as an idiot, then he demands everyone go and clean it up. And see, that's when you lose a lot of respect. I didn't really respect. I mean, I liked Milby, but he was an asshole. You know, he just did things that were. He didn't admit. He wasn't very humble as a character. Is the way I always thought. But I always kind of like that, because you get into all these weird business paradigms. There's classic tales of just being stupid, I guess. You know, and when you deal on eBay and stuff, it's not the same. You know, you're interacting with people, and I don't like to get in arguments with people when I sell stuff. It's just not worth it. You might as well just say, you know, if they don't like the painting, you know, fuck it. You know, send it back to me, or I'll give you your money back. I'm not going to argue with them about the logistics of it. And I know some people, like I had one of my friends who sold some stuff on eBay. He said they were like splitting hairs on shading effect with them after he sold a painting for like $50. And I said, well, duh, you look at what you're selling. You know, you're not selling. You're selling something like a landscape, and you know, and the kind of clientele is a lot more, what's the word, aggressive. They're not gonna, you know, they expect you to do a good job in this sort of realistic narrative, you know, realistic genre painting, and you can't do sloppy chimps, you know, wallowing in their own vomit. You know, that's the sort of kind of clientele they expect you to be kind of that way. You know, and I can really only do what you're about. You can't. It's not really a performance act. You just gotta do. If you're gonna do a performance, you gotta make sure it's the best. It is you, and it's the best of you.